In the grand hall, Shui Cheng swiftly knelt in reverence upon entering. Yet to Shi Chuankong's shock and dismay, Han Li only offered a modest bow to the devilish monarch. Such an act was an immense breach of etiquette, for the devilish monarch was a figure of strict discipline, and failing to kneel was a grave transgression. Shi Chuankong cursed himself for not stressing the importance of such formalities more thoroughly to Han Li. Before he could intervene, a voice rang out from the side. "Insolent fool! How dare you remain standing before the Holy Emperor?" The voice came from a short, rotund youth clad in purple, sitting beside a stunning woman in a purple palace dress. Han Li paid little attention to the young man's outburst, but was startled to recognize the woman, the same one who had interrupted his conversation with Shi Jianfeng a decade ago. She offered him a soft smile, her beauty undiminished by the years. Han Li's heart skipped a beat, but he quickly regained his composure. He then spoke, unwavering. "I am not from the Holy Realm, only a guard of His Highness, the 13th Prince. While I admire you, your Majesty, you remain but a senior in my eyes. No need for such formalities." The young man's face reddened in fury, but the devilish monarch, with a wave of his hand, silenced him. "Enough, Mingzhen. There's no need for such petty quarrels." The rotund youth, though angered, nodded and fell silent. Shi Chuankong watched in disbelief as the tension dissolved with such ease, while Shi Pokong's expression remained unchanged. The devilish monarch addressed Han Li. "So you are Li Feiyu, correct? I shall excuse you from the formalities. Pokong, Chuankong, rise as well." Shi Chuankong, Shui Cheng, and Han Li all rose, the latter offering a slight bow in gratitude. The devilish monarch then asked, "Chuankong, how fared your journey to the true immortal realm?" "I have witnessed many marvels and gained much from the trip," Shi Chuankong replied eagerly. The devilish monarch nodded approvingly. "Young cultivators like yourselves must face trials to truly grow," he said, his voice laced with experience. At this point, Shi Pokong interjected, his tone serious. "Father, while cultivation is crucial, the heavenly court's increasing movements near our borders cannot be ignored. We must prepare for the worst." His words carried weight, and the devilish monarch nodded indifferently, agreeing to look into the matter. Just then, a servant hurried into the hall, kneeling before delivering the news that the eldest, 8th, and 10th princes awaited outside. "Let them in," the devilish monarch ordered with a casual wave. The princes entered, each kneeling in respect before taking their seats. Shi Jianfeng, seated near the front, glanced around, greeting his siblings with subtle nods before his gaze lingered on Han Li. Han Li, however, paid him no mind, his attention elsewhere. As the room filled with more nobles and high-ranking figures, Shi Chuankong quietly informed Han Li of the importance of these individuals. "These are the influential figures of the Devil Realm," he said as Han Li listened intently. Soon, all but a few seats were filled, and Han Li, curious, inquired through voice transmission, "Where are the other princes and princesses?" Shi Chuankong explained the absence of several, citing duties and seclusion, particularly the seventh brother's efforts against the heavenly court, and the absence of other siblings deep in cultivation. The devilish monarch, tapping the table, called the meeting to order. "Now that we are gathered, let us discuss the matters at hand. What news do you bring from the Holy Realm during my retreat?" Shi Jianfeng stood and presented a report on his findings from the regions he had visited. A shadowy figure materialized behind the devilish monarch, taking the report and vanishing in a flash. Han Li noticed the figure for the first time, a vague, insubstantial man with his features obscured by dark qi. Shi Chuankong's voice echoed in his mind. "That is Shadow, Father's personal guard. His strength is beyond measure." The devilish monarch skimmed through the report, nodding in approval. "Well done, Jianfeng. In return, I shall reward you," he said, offering 3 exquisite azure sky pills, 10 suits of primordial holy armor, and 10 dragon elephant infernal swords. The devilish monarch's guard, Shadow, reappeared swiftly, bringing with him a jade platter containing the precious rewards. Han Li felt his acupoints stir as the aromatic scent of the pills reached him, their potency clear even to his seasoned senses. Immortal treasures shimmered like constellations fallen into mortal hands. Besides the 3 exquisite azure sky pills, the 10 suits of snow-white armor were no ordinary gear. From afar, they seemed plain, Yet upon closer gaze, they revealed themselves as countless tiny scales interwoven like dragon hide, each scale etched with minute runes that glowed with holy radiance. The golden longswords beside them roared with chi. Within their light danced the phantoms of a divine worm and a colossal elephant, circling and bellowing as if eager to taste blood. Shi Jianfeng received them with blazing eyes and bowed deeply. Thank you, father. Envy rippled through the hall. Even Shi Chuangkong felt his heart stir. Such rewards were enough to raise an army of fearsome experts in a single stroke. Only Shi Pokong and Shi Jingyan remained calm, their expressions unreadable. Through voice transmission, Han Li asked, "What is this exquisite azure sky pill? A Dao pill?" Shi Chuangkong replied softly, "Not a Dao pill, but a supreme body-refining treasure. Tens of thousands of years ago, Father slew a great encompassment, azure devilish cow in the 10 Hazards Mountains, and used its blood essence with hundreds of rare materials to refine 81 pills over centuries. Each of us siblings received one. With the right cultivation art, a single pill can open many profound acupoints, even 20 in one leap." Han Li's eyes glinted. "Then those armors and swords must also be peerless." "Indeed," Shi Chuangkong said bitterly. "A golden immortal clad in primordial holy armor and wielding a dragon elephant infernal sword could fight a high zenith cultivator alone. With such equipment, Shi Jianfeng could instantly forge a terrifying force equal to an early great encompassment powerhouse." After bowing again, Shi Jianfeng returned to his seat. Shi Pokong then stepped forward, producing a jade book. "Father, I have monitored all border activity of our realm. This records everything discovered." Shadow delivered it in a blur. The devilish monarch skimmed through it, then nodded once. "Well done." Shi Pokong bowed calmly and withdrew, his face untroubled. Shi Chuangkong sighed to Han Li. "Father is in such good spirits today. Pokong should have brought a gift like Jianfeng." Shi Jingyan rose gracefully. "I lack their great achievements. These years I only managed the 100-flower house. This scroll took my sisters and me 100 years to embroider. I hope father finds it pleasing." With a sweep of her sleeve, a colossal scroll unfurled, revealing endless mountain ranges beneath a rising crimson sun. The scene felt alive, as though one stood within the vast wilderness itself. "A thoughtful gift," the devilish monarch said warmly. "Shadow, bring the green smoke regal cauldron." Shadow returned instantly bearing an ancient green cauldron half a man's height. 9 openings breathed curling emerald smoke that circled like living dragons before sinking back inside. Shi Jingyan accepted it joyfully and returned to her seat. One by one, the princes and princesses stepped forth, reporting affairs and offering gifts. Each was rewarded generously, until finally Shi Chuangkong approached. "I have been away from the Holy Realm for many years. During my absence, the vast Origin House's performance fluctuated." "I accept punishment," he said, presenting an account book. "No punishment," the devilish monarch replied calmly. "Though inconsistent, the overall trend was positive. Now that you've returned, things will soon stabilize." Shi Chuangkong bowed deeply. "Your generosity knows no bounds, father. While in the true Immortal Realm, I entered the ruins of the true mantra sect and recovered this treasure." Silver light flashed. The Virata lute appeared. Gasps rippled through the palace. Every sibling recognized it. "The Virata lute, at last it has returned," the devilish monarch murmured, drawing it to his side. His fingers brushed the strings with nostalgia, and none dared disturb him. After a long moment, he looked up. "Excellent, Chuangkong. What reward do you seek?" "This was my duty. I dare not ask for reward," Shi Chuangkong said. The devilish monarch laughed softly. "I always reward merit. If such a contribution goes unrewarded, how would the realm judge me?" Smiles bloomed across the hall, though some were strained. "For this great service, I grant the 13th Prince the title Heavenly Merchant Marquise. His fief shall be the Heavenly Rainbow Region." Silence struck like thunder. Even Han Li was stunned. The Heavenly Rainbow Region was rich beyond measure, with vital trade routes crossing its lands. A treasure territory coveted by many. Shi Chuangkong dropped to his knees. "Father, this reward is far too great. I cannot accept." "I never retract what I bestow," the devilish monarch said firmly. "With your merchant's mind, you are the perfect steward. Do not disappoint me." Seeing no room for refusal, Shi Chuangkong accepted. "Return to your seat," the devilish monarch waved. Father, there is one more matter, Shi Chuangkong said hurriedly. Oh, it was only thanks to fellow Taoist Li that I recovered the Verada loot. We were ambushed many times on the road. Without his protection, I would never have returned alive. He deserves reward more than I do. All eyes turned to Han Li as he rose calmly. Li Feiyu, though you are not of our realm, your contribution is immense. What do you desire? The devilish monarch asked. Han Li clasped his fists. I would not ask anything, but I face a matter beyond my ability. A close friend of mine suffered mysterious spiritual damage. Her true form is a Xing beast, and her essence continuously leaks away. Ordinary methods cannot heal her. I hope the Grand Priest may examine her. The devilish monarch nodded. No difficulty. Jianfeng, summon the Grand Priest. Shi Jianfeng hesitated. Father, the Grand Priest entered seclusion 10 years ago. May we wait until he emerges? Han Li showed no surprise. How long might that be? Uncertain, Shi Jianfeng replied. It could be years, even a century, but once he leaves seclusion, I will bring him to you at once. Han Li inclined his head in acceptance, his heart steady despite the long wait that lay ahead. The atmosphere in the grand hall was thick with tension as Shi Chuangkong cast a cold glare at Shi Jianfeng. How can you claim ignorance, Jianfeng? The Grand Priest's whereabouts should be known to you, considering you hold the reins of the priestly temple, he demanded, his voice like a whip. Shi Jianfeng responded with calmness befitting his station, his words flowing like a river that could not be disturbed. You are mistaken, Chuan Kong. Though the priestly temple is under my charge, the Grand Priest is a figure of great stature, beyond my reach. His comings and goings are shrouded in mystery, as you would know if you consulted Priest Qing Yang. He explained with resigned grace. At his cue, an elderly figure rose from the assembly. Priest Qing Yang, a thin, aged man with a peculiar azure gleam to his hair and beard, bowed deeply before the devilish monarch. He then turned to Shi Chuangkong and spoke with certainty. The Grand Priest remains in seclusion, Your Highness. He does not inform us of his whereabouts, and thus we are left in the dark about his return. Shi Chuangkong's expression darkened, suspicion still lingering in his eyes. He longed to probe further, but the situation grew delicate, and he held his tongue. The devilish monarch's voice then rang out, smooth yet firm. We will await the Grand Priest's return before fulfilling the request of fellow Taoist Li. Han Li, ever pragmatic, voiced his concerns. I appreciate your patience, but my friend's condition is only temporarily stabilized by purple sunwarm jade. My stock will only last for another few decades. I cannot afford to wait longer. Shi Jianfeng smiled with a generosity that seemed too good to be true. It so happens that I possess some mid-grade purple sunwarm jade. Allow me to gift it to fellow Taoist Li as a token of my gratitude. A ring materialized in his hand, and he offered it to Han Li with a sweeping gesture. Han Li inspected the contents of the ring, finding several high-quality pieces of jade within. A glimmer of appreciation flickered in his eyes, but a subtle flicker of displeasure crossed Shi Pokong's face. Han Li nodded in gratitude. This should suffice for about a century. After that, I will need to rely on the Grand Priest, he said. Shi Jianfeng assured him with an easy smile. Rest assured, fellow Taoist Li, your needs will be met. As the conversation wound down, Shi Pokong stepped forward, his tone a shade more serious. Father, about the attack on Chuangkong. The devilish monarch interrupted him with a wave, his voice tinged with authority. I am already aware, and measures are being taken. Do not concern yourself further. Shi Pong's gaze softened with understanding, and he withdrew. Shi Chuangkong, still discontented, followed suit, though his displeasure remained. Go now, the devilish monarch commanded, and one by one, the others filed out of the palace. As the day passed and the last of the guests departed, only the devilish monarch and Shadow remained. The devilish monarch, his brow furrowed, turned to his silent companion. Shadow, do you not find that Li Feiyu resembles a man from our past? Shadow remained silent, as ever, but the devilish monarch seemed to reflect on his own words. Without waiting for a reply, he vanished, Shadow following in tow. Outside, Shi Jianfeng approached Shi Chuangkong with an easy smile. Congratulations on your new title, Chuangkong. I am genuinely pleased for you. His words were as smooth as oil, and though others hastily retreated, Shi Jingyan and Shi Mingzhen lingered, eager to converse. You are too kind, Jianfeng, The reward from Father cannot compare to the gifts you've received. Shi Chuankong replied with a forced smile. Jianfeng chuckled. If only Father were amenable to exchanging our rewards. But then, I would miss your company, I'm sure. Before Shi Chuankong could respond, Jianfeng turned to Han Li. Fellow Taoist Li, you have done much for our realm. You have my gratitude. If you find time, I would welcome a visit to my manor. Han Li gave a polite nod, though he did not commit to the invitation. Jianfeng's gaze lingered for a moment before he vanished from the scene, taking Shi Chuanjia and Shi Bofu with him. Han Li's eyes narrowed as Jianfeng's teleportation left ripples in the air, betraying a master's control over space itself. His bright mirror technique has improved, Shi Pokong remarked with a smile, though a hint of unease crept into Shi Chuankong's expression. Shi Jingyan, ever the unpredictable presence, sidled closer to Han Li, her scent intoxicating and overwhelming. I simply wanted to see the man who could defeat Hua Jing and Taoist Master Bone shine, she said, her eyes glinting mischievously. The scent around her intensified, seeping into Han Li's very being, making him dizzy with yearning. He could feel his very soul drawn to her, but his spiritual sense flared, shattering the illusory influence. The fragrance was drawn into the green light of his sleeve, banished like a fleeting illusion. Shi Jingyan's surprise was fleeting, and Shi Pokong's voice cut through the tension. Jingyan, we are in the Holy Imperial Palace. Control yourself. With a grin, Shi Jingyan withdrew. I merely extended my greeting, fellow Taoist Li, she said, her tone light as air. Han Li smiled faintly. A most memorable greeting. Indeed, you are a remarkable man, Shi Jingyan commented before turning away, Shi Mingzhen following closely behind. Shi Pokong, concerned, asked, Are you well, fellow Taoist Li? Jingyan's heavenly dream fragrance can be troublesome. I am fine, your highness, Han Li replied, offering a reassuring smile. Good, let us return, Shi Pokong said, and they set off toward his manor. Han Li and his companions soon arrived at Shi Pokong's manor. As they alighted from their carriages, Shui Cheng quickly departed, leaving Shi Chuankong to motion Han Li to follow him and Shi Pokong into the conference hall. I cannot fathom Father's reasoning. Why must we hide the truth about the attacks I endured? Jianfeng and Jingyan must be exposed for their treachery. Shi Chuankong seethed in frustration. Father likely wished to conceal the discord among us siblings while compensating you with a generous reward. That said, I did not expect him to grant you the Heavenly Rainbow region, Shi Pokong remarked. Indeed, with the Heavenly Rainbow region in our grasp, our position has greatly improved. With time, I am confident we will surpass Jianfeng and the others, Shi Chuankong said, a smile forming as he seated himself. He gestured for Han Li to join him. The servants of the manor entered, bringing cups of spirit tea. Shi Pokong took a sip and cautioned, Celebrate cautiously. With the Heavenly Rainbow region, you will attract envy from your siblings. Be on your guard. Fear not, Pokong, I am a high zenith cultivator now. They will not trample upon me so easily. Should they challenge me, I shall make them regret it. And I still have you by my side, Shi Chuankong replied, his tone carefree. True, but caution is always wise. Also, be patient with the matter concerning fellow Taoist Li. Use the purple sun warm jade Jianfeng provided, and I will send more to assist you, Shi Pokong added. Thank you, your highness, Han Li responded, his voice the first to break the silence since entering the hall. His spirit tea remained untouched beside him. Jianfeng's response was unsurprising. Even if he seeks to delay, he dares not defy Father's command. However, it seems you will stay in Night Sun City a while longer. Rest assured, Pokong and I will continue to search for a way to treat fellow Taoist Weeping Soul's condition, Shi Chuankong said, his tone apologetic. In that case, I shall remain in your care for a time. I have matters to attend to, so I shall take my leave now, Han Li said, cupping his fist in farewell. Do not rush, fellow Taoist Li. I still wish to speak with you regarding the Heavenly Rainbow region, Shi Chuankong called out. I know little of the Holy Realm, so I leave that matter to His Highness. If you require my aid, I shall offer it gladly, Han Li replied. Let fellow Taoist Li go. He must be eager to attend to fellow Taoist Weeping Soul after receiving the purple sun warm jade from Jianfeng, Shi Pokong said with a smile. Very well. You may attend to fellow Taoist Weeping Soul, and I will find you afterward, Shi Chuankong said. Han Li nodded. then departed from the hall. Returning to the Long Garden Pavilion, Hanli activated all of the manor's restrictions. He visited Weeping Soul in the Flower Branch space before returning to his secret chamber. Though delayed, the acquisition of Purple Sun Warm Jade ensured Weeping Soul's condition would remain stable for another century, at least. With that, Hanli began his cultivation. A decade passed, and Hanli sat in his chamber, eyes closed, hands rapidly forming seals as golden light filled the room. The mantra Treasured Axis hovered behind him, while the clear time vial emitted golden ripples to his left, and a miniature hourglass spun beside him. Before him, a torch burned with time-severing flowing fire, and to the right, a golden tree slowly took form under the golden light. Hanli's eyes suddenly snapped open, and he pressed his palms together in a swift motion. The time Dao runes on the mantra Treasured Axis, the clear time vial, the time-severing torch, and the illusory dawn hourglass ignited, releasing bursts of time law power. The small golden tree fully manifested, its surface etched with time Dao runes. A pained expression faded from Hanli's face as he exhaled, a faint smile gracing his lips. After a decade of diligent cultivation, he had manifested the Eastern Vicissitudes divine tree, reaching the third level of the Great Five Elemental Illusion mantra. He sensed the flow of time law powers, his mantra Treasured Axis glowing with 720 time Dao runes, the clear time vial with 360, and the other two artifacts each with 180. The newly formed golden tree had more time Dao runes appearing on its surface. At that moment, 45 time law threads shot out of the artifacts and intertwined around Hanli, forming a golden circle that absorbed surrounding time law powers before shrinking inward. The 5 artifacts converged their time law power into the golden circle, transforming it into a giant ring that trembled as it emitted a sharp, ringing sound. Hanli's brow furrowed. Is it coming again? A ball of azure light shot from his robes. It was the heaven-controlling vial, glowing with green radiance and releasing tremendous suction force. The golden ring flew up into the air, shrinking to match the vial's mouth before the two came together, releasing a burst of immense time law power. The vial swelled rapidly, green runes swirling within it. Time law power surged out, forming a glowing green cloud, before a thick pillar of light shot out, tearing space apart as the familiar translucent wall of light appeared. At that moment, Hanli heard a voice in his mind. You are progressing faster than I expected. Turning toward the heaven-controlling vial in confusion, Hanli saw tiny black eyes on its surface, staring back at him. He attempted to communicate, but an invisible barrier blocked his efforts, as if the vial spirit was unreachable. Before he could act, the translucent wall of light radiated brilliantly, and an enormous vortex appeared, pulling at him with tremendous force. Hanli was soon swept away, and when he regained his senses, he found himself on a barren plain. A vast river stretched into the horizon, its flow shifting in strange patterns. The scene, though familiar, filled him with awe. But as he prepared to approach the river, he realized with a start that he was not in a spiritual form, but in his physical body. His heart sank. His body had been pulled into the vortex along with his soul. Hanli, his mind still in disarray, took a moment to steady himself before soaring toward the river. Though he had visited this place many times before, this was the first time in his physical form, a unique experience in itself. Hovering high above, his gaze fell upon the river below. Having learned from past encounters, he wisely refrained from focusing on any single ball of light, opting instead for fleeting glances at the fleeting images that danced within them. Suddenly, a larger ball of light passed beneath him, moving sluggishly compared to the others. Hanli's attention was instantly seized by the image it displayed. But the moment he focused too intently, a powerful suction force erupted from the ball, pulling him in with such ferocity that he had no time to resist. After an unknown period, Hanli awoke to find himself sprawled upon a jagged black rock amidst a violent sea. Waves crashed against the stone, splashing water all around him. The dark, foreboding sea churned as he took in the unfamiliar surroundings, a strange unease settling in his heart. His breath was heavy, his senses alert, yet the discomfort seemed barely perceptible, only growing ever so slightly with each passing moment. Cautiously, he approached the edge of the rock and peered into the water. To his surprise, His own reflection stared back at him. It was then that he realized he had indeed undergone physical transmigration. Hanli exhaled deeply, uncertain whether this was a boon or a curse. His gaze then turned upward, where instead of the usual mantra treasured axis, a faint golden ring, inscribed with time Dao runes, hovered above his head. With a quick count, he noted 1,620 runes, an amount equal to the combined total of the time Dao runes on all 5 time attribute artifacts. The length of his transmigration would depend on the expenditure of his time law powers. As he pondered these new revelations, Hanli's attention was drawn to a decaying black whale carcass floating nearby. The familiar sight sparked a memory, and a theory began to form in his mind. Could this be connected to Taoist Master Boneshine's strange condition during their second encounter? His thoughts sharpened as he rose, his resolve hardening. He checked his internal state, ensuring all was in balance, and then closed his eyes to release his spiritual sense. Moments later, he smiled faintly, murmuring to himself, "I guess there's only one way to find out." With that, he donned his reincarnation palace mask and shot off toward his destination. Far away, Taoist Master Boneshine floated upon the water's surface, his form a ghostly figure in the darkness. A fist-sized purple bead hovered above his head, releasing wisps of smoke and a dull purple light that surrounded his face. The ninth-grade immortal treasure was meant to aid his soul, though it was not the perfect remedy. He had been severely wounded during his hunt for the perpetrators of his disciples' death, the lingering damage from the High Zenith cultivator's assault refusing to heal. With gritted teeth, Boneshine swore vengeance, but his resolve faltered as a streak of light appeared before him, halting abruptly. A familiar figure emerged from the light, Hanli. Boneshine's heart sank. His suspicions had been confirmed. Hanli had indeed returned through transmigration. The eerie calm in Hanli's expression only deepened Boneshine's unease, but he quickly masked it with arrogance. "You dare to come after me alone?" Boneshine scoffed. "You must have a death wish." Hanli's voice dripped with amusement as he taunted, "You still haven't recovered from the spiritual damage from our last encounter, have you?" Boneshine scoffed in response, dismissing Hanli's words. "That secret technique of yours was taxing, but there's no way you can use it again so soon," he said, though doubt crept into his thoughts. Hanli's smile turned mocking. "Indeed, it was taxing, but do you believe I have no other tricks up my sleeve?" The unease that had plagued Boneshine now surged within him. Still, he dismissed it. How could a mere early High Zenith cultivator threaten him? With a cold sneer, Boneshine summoned his bone-withering spirit domain. A thin mist spread through the air, and the familiar 8 bone pagodas rose into existence, their dark power thickening the atmosphere. Hanli furrowed his brows but remained unfazed, summoning a strange glass lamp. The sight of the soul-devouring lamp shocked Boneshine. "You still have it?" he demanded. Hanli's voice was laced with contempt. "So you recognize it, but can you resist its power?" As he spoke, Hanli sent the lamp hurtling toward Boneshine. The latter wasted no time, summoning a purplish golden talisman and pressing it to his forehead. The talisman burned away in an instant, leaving behind a glowing rune in his glabella. Hanli's brow furrowed at the sight, but he wasted no time in executing a series of rapid incantation seals. The soul-devouring lamp, now ignited with both purple and azure flames, inched closer to Boneshine. The flames were dim but captivating, their intertwining dance drawing Boneshine's gaze. A dazed look settled upon his face as his mind fixated on 2 ethereal, alluring women that seemed to dance within the flames, their beauty entrancing him completely.